in a prayerful and solemn march.
Kentucky is considered a pro-life state, but there are lawmakers and special interest groups who support abortion.
We have not had an abortion, a legal abortion, right, in the Commonwealth of Kentucky and since August 1st, 2022. That's several months after Roe, when our trigger law went into effect. The abortion centers have closed. Since then, like many of the states who restrict abortion, we have had a flood of abortion pills coming into the state illegally. We have so much work to do to come alongside of, to educate, to bring truth and an understanding of who we are, to value every life.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Government offices, the stock market, and schools are closed today in observance of President's Day, but most big retailers are open. When in doubt, call ahead or look up more specific schedules online. U.S. stock markets and banks are closed but will reopen tomorrow. National parks are open and free to U.S. residents on President's Day. The official designation for the holiday is Washington's birthday, after the first President George Washington, although it has become known informally as President's Day. For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
As we watch world events unfold and fulfill Scripture, it's hard to believe anyone could doubt God and His Word are real. And yet there are so many who either question or completely refuse to believe it. The God Who Speaks is a 90-minute documentary that hits the doubt head-on with evidence that proves God is real and His Word is the ultimate authority. Watch it anytime and invite others to watch with you. Just visit stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Do rainy days and Mondays always bring you down? Welcome to Today's Issues on American Family Radio, where we hope to lift your spirits with some positive and encouraging news from around the world. It's Monday, February the 16th, 2026. I'm Tim Wildman with Ed Vitagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning to you, sir.
We don't have any guests. Do we have any guests today? So it's just us three. Chris Woodward will be along a little bit later on on the program. And we do have a lot to talk about. Your weekend go good?
Yes, weekend went very well. Was it Valentine's Day on Saturday?
Man, don't tell me you forgot. You're kidding, right?
I am kidding.
Yeah,
I am kidding. But my wife and I did the old couple thing.
We did too.
We went early. We had run some errands out by the mall, quote unquote, and then ate at like 11:30. And then by the time we were leaving, it was getting packed up there, and so that's what we do. If it's during the week, we go 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock to eat.
We did the opposite. I don't know if, I had the idea of going to this White Linen restaurant, fine dining, but the only I waited till the day before.
Ooh.
Oh. I know, but we did get an 8:30. So,
8:30.
We are night owls, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we go to bed at midnight.
You do, because you email of the.
I try not to text past 10 because I know the normal people are already, either getting ready to go to bed and don't want to hear a ding on their phone.
Well, can I be honest?
Yeah.
I have you muted.
Yeah.
Hey, my feelings aren't hurt. That's okay. I understand. We all have to
don't hear the ding when you text.
All right, Fred, did y'all do anything for?
Yeah, we did the restaurant thing.
Yeah.
We rolled the dice. We went about 5:30, 6 o'clock. Had to wait just 10 minutes.
No reservations. You just.
Yeah. But it was just 10 minutes or so.
Well, that's the way McDonald's is, Fred. You can usually go through the drive-thru and get a Happy Meal.
That's right. I'll have that 20-piece.
That's right. Nothing's too good for you, sweetie. You get the 20-piece and a big fry. I know Fred. Fred he's a classy guy.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
We have several great Mexican restaurants in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It really was.
You just described every town USA.
Yeah.
And probably Canada.
Yeah.
If Alice and I have a running joke that if any place goes out of business, within a month, there's a Mexican restaurant goes in there.
That's not a lie. Now, I don't know if that's going to continue now that the U.S. is cracking down on illegal immigration. But
that was bad.
Well, I'm just saying, some of our favorite people that we've seen at some of our restaurants are no longer there.
They went home, huh?
I don't know.
All right.
Self-deported. I wasn't trying to be ugly with that. I'm just
right.
You're
just keeping it real, aren't you?
Just keeping it real.
I want to keep things on an upbeat here, though.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward as the week goes along to Olympic hockey.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
I'm sure you are looking forward to it.
I got a missile from Ed yesterday about the Canadian men's hockey team. Unbeatable. I think, was that the term you used?
I said they're insane.
Okay.
They are so good. Of course, I mentioned, there's several of us, I think there was 4 on the thread, text thread. I didn't include you, Tim, I'm sorry, but that follow hockey, and Tim's starting to get better with the hockey. But I said, I'm going to root for Team USA like a good American, but Team Canada is a wagon.
Yes.
I mean, did Team USA, Team Canada, they already played?
No, they will probably play in the final.
Okay,
and there's some. It'll be an intense. You remember at the World Cup, these two teams, Canada and U.S., met, and that's people. If you remember, the first 9 seconds there was like 3 fights. They dropped the puck, and the guys dropped their gloves because it is an intense rivalry.
I think the Canadian players were heard saying to the U.S. players, "We're going to make you our 15th province."
Well, if it relies on hockey, get ready to speak French.
Yeah, that's right. Speaking of French, I watched the end of the game, Canada-France, yesterday. That was embarrassment. It reaches a point, I said to Tim, it was a 10-2.
Yeah.
Canada. That's like 100-20 in basketball.
Yeah.
You start to feel sorry.
Yeah.
I felt sorry. I don't know if
Can you call a game? Can you just wait?
That's even more embarrassing, though.
Okay, I was going to say, can you run rule them? You know how they do in
softball.
In softball, you run rule them.
What do they call it? It's the
when you get out ahead so early that the game. Yeah, the 10-run rule. They just say it's a mercy rule. Is what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, these are big boys. Now they're going to play to the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and you get hurt, I guess, if you don't play to the end.
Yeah.
Well, there was a fight. There had to be a fight.
There was.
They really discourage the fight in Olympic hockey. Not so much when it's regular. It's part of the game.
I know.
But was it Wilson?
Yeah, it was Tom Wilson, who's he's a good goal scorer, but
he's a worship leader at my church. He was playing hockey?
Well, I was about to say,
we need to pay
Tom
him
Wilson
more.
is a thug, and then you said, oh, he leads worship. Our Tom Wilson is not a thug.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's not really a thug. He is just a hard-nosed player. If you have your head down and you're skating, he will light you up. You'll wake up the next morning.
In a Christian way.
Yes.
No. All right. So, anyway, there's your Olympic hockey update, ladies and gentlemen, provided by the Yankees over here. And so the Olympics are in their, second week? Something like that? It's a 2-week.
It wraps up this Friday?
Yeah, it's usually a 2-week, summer and winter, 2-week, the 2-week segment for the games, for all the games, all the competition.
It hasn't so far been a great Olympics.
Yeah.
It really hasn't.
How many big stories?
Well, there's been a lot of controversy in the curling side of things.
Yeah.
There was a camera in a place that it shouldn't have been, and so people getting disqualified. And then I haven't seen the skating, but I've heard the reports. A lot of people falling.
Yeah, there was an American that was supposed to expected to medal.
Yes.
And he fell twice.
I know. It hasn't been good for skaters.
Which is why I don't watch figure skating.
You don't watch figure skating?
It's just hard for me as a hockey fan to say, to Fred when I come in the morning, hey, how about those figure skaters?
Yeah.
Just jump around. And the boys don't look too feminine. I mean, they don't look too masculine, do they? We better stop right there.
Yeah.
Okay, we better start right there. We're getting into personal commentary on people's appearance, and that's probably not appropriate.
And I do want to say,
okay, you say.
I'm going to go ahead and just toss this in. There's nothing wrong with figure skating, and I don't think a person is not a male is not being masculine by figure skating.
I agree. I shouldn't have said what I said.
And it's the same thing with playing a piano versus playing sports.
Yeah,
there's a pretty wide realm there in which men have gifts. I just don't. I've never liked it. I've never liked watching figure skating.
Yeah.
So,
but you can learn. On one of the hockey teams I played on way back, we actually brought in a figure skater to show us some things about balance on one leg. And believe it or not, I won't go into all the.
No, please.
But,
break it down for us.
But the
Fred.
figure skaters were really good at balance issues. Yeah. And that helps in hockey.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of football players and basketball players taking lessons in ballet for the same reason.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah, balance.
They bring a balletist in to demonstrate how to have balance.
That's right. I was going to say ballerina, but let's go with balletist, Tim.
Balletist sounds good to me. All right, you're listening to today's issues. Moving right along, Fred, what's your first story?
Yeah, don't let me bring it down now.
Yeah. Yellow. Bruce?
No, we have a partial government shutdown, and unlike the one we had a few weeks ago, this one is, you're probably not going to feel it it's day 3 now of this one. This has to do with Homeland Security, and the Democrats basically want to defund, bring down, add various restrictions to how ICE operates. In particular, Hakeem Jeffries, House Minority Leader, and Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader, here's their demands to the Republicans. These are the things they say must happen in order for to get their support to get Homeland Security back up and running. Cut number 1.
Why is it that ICE agents who are untrained are being unleashed on American communities with this type of lawlessness, violence, and brutality? Unacceptable, unconscionable, and it's un-American.
I believe they'll have no choice but to go along with us because it's so common sense and so much supported by the American people. They're losing support every day by not supporting these common sense proposals.
Well, disagreeing with them is House Majority Leader, Republican House Majority Whip Tom Ember. Cut number 2.
First off, common sense. I mean, they want law enforcement agents to show ID when they don't want voters to show ID. There's no common sense here. This is all politics. They're talking around the issue. What they're doing, Lawrence, is they want reforms that frankly protect illegals and criminals at the expense of tax-paying citizens. Let's go after that warrant one. You already have administrative warrants, and Americans, if they were told the truth by these guys, would understand in order to get an administrative warrant, the defendant, the subject of the warrant, has already had full due process. Now they want what they say is a judicial warrant. And on its face, it sounds reasonable, right? Well, we got to get a judicial warrant. The administrative warrant is already the same thing. Putting a judicial warrant on top of that, you'll never get a judicial warrant in the timely manner that you need to get it. So the result? Mass amnesty, which is essentially what we had under the Biden administration. They want this again. They make it sound like it's something good. It's not.
And Tom Homan, the Trump's border czar, says also the demand from Democrats that these agents have demask is crazy because the threats against the lives and the lives of the families of these ICE agents have increased dramatically. And, you know, once again, the demand that they not have masks on, but the protesters, no problem, you can wear masks.
Yeah, you're right. There's no common sense coming from the left on these issues. You know, Tom Homan, you know, the border czar, I think he says in his own opinion what a lot of Americans think. Tom Homan said he doesn't like masks, okay, but they have to be allowed to wear them. I'm talking about ICE agents for their own protection and for the protection of their families. I don't like them. I think Tim has said he doesn't like the masks. It doesn't. It adds to the threatening nature of law enforcement if they're masked, but for their own protection, they got to have them. Now, if the left would say, well, fine, we'll stop trying to dox them, we'll stop trying to identify them, we'll stop trying to go to their houses, all those kinds of things. We'll stop trying to take their pictures so we can post it online and make sure they never work again anywhere else, then maybe the mask should come down. But on the left, they fully intend to destroy the lives of ICE agents if they can just get their identity. And so, Tom Homan is saying, I think, what a lot of people are thinking. May not like the masks, but at this point, the violence and threatening nature of the left is just too much to risk it.
Yeah. So let me get this straight. The federal government is funded through the legislative vote and president's signature through, I don't know, the end of the year, something like that now. But there's one part of the federal government, that is the Department of Homeland Security,
yes,
that is not funded. So that includes TSA agents, for example, at airports, not just ICE.
Uh-huh.
And so
FEMA.
Uh-huh. So I mean, it's a lot of
Coast Guard.
Wow. Okay. So they're unfunded right now, and the Democrats are saying we're not going to vote to fund it unless you do these things that you guys have just talked about, which are unacceptable to Republicans. That is, basically tying the hands of ICE. Bill O'Reilly, the former Fox commentator, he said, and I agree with him, the Democrats don't want any border control. They don't want any ICE enforcement. They want unfettered immigration into our country. They want these people to be able to vote, to receive federal government aid. I mean, it's a completely and totally different worldview. Now, they may not say it exactly like I just said it, but their actions show and demonstrate that they don't want any enforcement of our immigration laws. But they want, the Democrats' ultimate objective here, and it's really shrewd. What you do is you let millions of people in to the country illegally, and then you fight for their amnesty, right? And you fight for their, quote, pathway to citizenship. So when you get in the majority, if the Democrats get in the majority in the House, Senate, and the White House, they will vote for amnesty for all these people, and it'll be the end of the Republican Party as we know it. They will vote. President Reagan signed amnesty. I think he lived to regret it, but you remember President Reagan signed amnesty for all the people who had who were here illegally back in the early 80s. In the name of let's be done with it. Now we shut down the border,
right?
And we stop this mass immigration. Well, nothing happened like what happened under Biden. I mean, it was just complete and total open doors. We all know that. Even the Democrats were starting to complain about how many people Biden let just walk across the border. President Trump shut that all down. But we'll just see where this goes, but you're at loggerheads right now for the Department of Homeland. What am I trying to say?
Department of Homeland Security.
Their budget.
We talked about this last week. The polls that have been done, the American people, at least 80% Republicans support border security, 70% of Democrats. But I think what Schumer and Jeffries are trying to do is take advantage of the emotional upheaval that we saw in Minneapolis, and try to paint the picture these people are cruel, these ICE agents are cruel, and they're for the moment that's working. But if you're saying to these Homeland Security people that we want to get rid of ICE, we want to get rid of Border Patrol, that's not going to work for the American people.
I think the American people, the general public, I think they support the efforts of immigration enforcement. They want to get rid of the bad people who are here. By bad, I mean criminals, violent criminals, and they want it done nicely. So this is the old have your cake and eat it too. The American people they want to have these bad people who are here in our country deported or arrested, but they want it to be done without aggressive tactics that ICE has to employ.
But what's sinister about this is that the reason the aggressive tactics are being employed is because the left is flooding Minneapolis with violent protesters.
Well, yes, and the videos are caught too, and you see in all these stories. It's even got to President Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, what did he say about a week ago? We're going to have to soften up.
Yeah, de-escalate.
Yeah, we're going to have to tone it down.
Yeah.
He's talking about his own efforts here.
It's even, I don't know if we're going to still discuss this with Hillary Clinton.
Well, that's coming up.
She on a show today?
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. What a coup, Ed.
At the bottom of the hour, we have a special guest.
Yes.
All right, so I'll wait on that. But the overall point is that the left under the Biden administration, like as we've said, you said, Tim, they wanted unfettered, wide open borders, unfettered immigration to try to make the entire country blue forever. And then when Trump got elected, they decided these blue cities and blue states, they would be a part of the resistance. They flood these areas with violent protesters to create the chaos that would change public opinion and make the conservative side of this issue back off. And the Democrats are supporting all of this in an effort, one last effort, to grab a hold of the election process by way of illegal voting.
And it's almost an untenable situation now because I'm talking about with the ICE now, they're going to. All right, President Trump said they need to back off. Tom Homan pulled them out of Minneapolis. Now he said job accomplished. And the imagery, I think, has hurt the Republicans, hurt President Trump. You can deny that if you want to, but I think that's denying reality. With the general public, I think the images, the 2 deaths in Minnesota, people go, well, that was unnecessary. But you're putting these ICE agents now in as I said, the word untenable, because if you go into a city and you don't have the cooperation of the local police department, then you're putting ICE in there, and they're going to be confronted by these protesters / aggressive lunatics, okay, and the aggressive lunatics now know that if we physically confront ICE and they do anything to us, it's going to be ICE's fault no matter what. So ICE can't say, hey, we need the Minneapolis PD down here. You need to come down here because they're blocking the street. Or they're taunting us. They're getting in our face. We need to have these people restrained. And Minneapolis Police Department goes, we ain't helping you do anything.
They're under orders from the mayor.
Right. So you're on your own. So what do you think that sets up for?
Yeah.
What we've seen happen. The ICE agents are going, well, I guess we're on our own. Well, what do we do if we're physically attacked? Well, you got to sit there and either take the beating or take the pepper spray or take your tires being slashed, or in the case of the guy who was shot and killed by ICE, what was his name? Fella in Minneapolis?
Preddy.
We saw what he did to that car, the ICE car. He started vandalizing it and spitting at them. In that case, my question would be, well, what are you supposed to do if you're physically attacked? Now, I didn't see him physically attacked an ICE officer, but if you're physically attacked, are you supposed to just lay down and just let them beat you so that you're not captured on video doing your own
That's why you said this is shrewd.
It's shrewd.
It is.
And it's an untenable situation, and I'm not sure exactly what you do about it, because when the video cameras turn on, they turn on when the ICE agents are responding back.
Yes.
And that never looks good. So it's a...
Listen, the three of the demands, at least three of the demands of the Democratic Party, I would actually like one of them, okay, using body cameras, I don't have a problem. And I can't think of a reason why.
They're starting to do that now.
Yeah, they should, because it only helps them, I think, show the real situation they were in. But then banning agents from wearing masks, that's not going to happen. And requiring the judicial warrants for arrests when they already have administrative warrants, that's not going to happen either. So basically, the Democratic Party is saying we're going to demand things we know you're not going to give us so that we can keep it shut down to add more pressure from the American people.
Yes. I got a solution, fellas.
All right.
For ICE and the ICE agents. I think they need to claim that they're helping stop the spread of COVID. You see what I'm saying?
With the masks?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Just say, listen, we're doing as Democrats still want us to do. We're masking up to help stop the spread.
Flatten the curve.
We need to flatten the curve.
Right.
Flatten the curve. That's why we have our masks.
And if that doesn't work, we're going to flatten protesters.
No, I don't think that's going to work.
Oh, all right.
Okay. All right. We will be back in a moment with more of today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Stay with us.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Once upon a time, a group of people decided to build a new building. It would be an unusual building, one which the likes of the world had never seen. They decided that they would call this new building America. Instead of having only one pillar underneath to support the structure as previous buildings had had, they decided that their new building would have 3 pillars on which to rest. Each of these 3 pillars would hold an equal weight of the building. They named these 3 pillars home, school, and church. So the group began building their new building called America, and underneath they supported it with the 3 pillars of home, school, and church. The people labored on that new building until they died. But their children, catching a glimpse of the dream that their forefathers had, continued to work on the building and to keep strong the 3 supporting pillars. Several generations worked hard to make that building the most treasured and admired building in all the world. They gave of themselves freely as they continued to work on the building. And they always made sure that the supporting pillars of home, school, and church were strong. They knew that the existence of the building called America rested upon the strength of those 3 pillars. However, several generations after the building was started, some people questioned the need of 3 pillars. They figured that it could stand on only 2. So they began to ignore the pillar of church. Soon that pillar became weakened due to neglect. When this happened, more weight of the building called America was shifted to the 2 pillars of home and school. The people noticed that the foundation underneath the building called America was weakening, and they blamed many things, but they seldom referred to the weakened pillar of church. Before long, because of the weakening of the pillar of church, the pillar of home became weaker also. And this was followed by a weakening of the pillar of school. Many people tried to get the building called America on a good foundation again by strengthening the weakened pillar of church. But most of the people scoffed at them, calling them old-fashioned people with outdated ideas. The people tried many methods to strengthen the building called America, but none of the methods included the strengthening of the pillar of church. One day, this building called America collapsed. One of the residents, crushed underneath the falling structure, called out, "No building like America can ever stand except on the 3 equal pillars of home, school, and church." And with that, history wrote its final chapter on the construction of the building called America. Is this a true story? Let's hope not.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of the Son he loves. Colossians 1:13.
American Family Radio. This is today's issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of today's issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of today's issues.
Welcome back, everybody, to today's issues on the American Family Radio Network. Tim, Ed, and Fred, we thank you for listening to American Family Radio and this show, Today's Issues. Guys, I want to ask you a question. We won't spend much time on this, but this case that all the news media has been covering, that is Savannah Guthrie's mom missing now since February 1st, right, Fred?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't want to sound cold or insensitive, but at the same time, it's about time for this story to go to page 2, isn't it? I mean, that we haven't. Do you think it's becoming sensationalized because of who this is? I mean, do you know what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, and we've done some stories on this. Fox News, in particular, we watch Fox News probably predominantly.
You mean at your house or here at the
here at work?
Okay.
I have never seen an abduction story covered so much. I mean, we're talking day after day after day. They will spend 20 to 25 minutes per hour discussing this, bringing the same experts in, asking the same questions over and over and over again.
And they don't really know anything.
They don't know anything. And the only reason because Steve Jordahl did a story on this, there are hundreds of abductions in this country every year.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Right.
Hundreds.
Right.
And I feel sorry for Savannah Guthrie. We were just watching the latest picture of her making a video. I mean, how hard it must be on that family. But how do you justify spending 25 minutes an hour, day after day after day after day? We're day 13, 14, 15, whatever the case may be. And so I'm speculating on reasons. Is it because Savannah Guthrie is a star, a network star? Her mom has been abducted, and these people have taken the step of feeling so sorry for her because they are network stars, they being the hosts of Fox programs, that they somehow have decided this is the most important abduction that has ever taken place. And we have to get...
I think it's because of celebrity.
I think it is.
Listen, if Brad Pitt is abducted, that's going to be international news. If Brad Smith is abducted, it might make a splash in the local media, but it's not going to be an international or even a national story. And I think it just goes to the... Listen, remember the O.J. Simpson case?
Mm-hmm.
That was big news because he was so famous.
Yes.
And I think that's what's going on here.
I think everybody understands that. If you got somebody famous involved in a abduction or a murder or something like that, it's going to get more attention than, the average something happening to just an everyday American out there. I think what is getting annoying for a lot of people who do watch the Fox News channel, maybe some others too, I don't know. And I don't watch I don't watch near as much as I used to back in the day when Bill O'Reilly, I used to watch his show every night. But I think, it's just getting to where they're probably watching the ratings.
Right.
And when the ratings start dropping because of overkill, so to speak, on this story, they'll back off. It's probably, the old adage in news is if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
So, but just to, as you say, Fred, to keep on, and some of the other news media too, just regurgitating the same thing, and now they're onto this glove, this DNA off of a glove, and I don't even know what glove they're talking about.
Well, they think it's one of the gloves that the suspect, the guy all masked up, appears on a Ring camera, and he puts his glove.
I saw that.
He puts his hand up with the glove on to kind of block the view of the camera, and so near the house, they picked up a discarded glove, and I read that they think it may be that glove that was on the camera. So they're looking for DNA. The glove would protect, skin cells from getting off the hand onto the camera or the door handle, but there may be skin cells inside the glove.
Let me ask this. I'm sorry for my ignorance here, but how exactly, in other words, to use DNA to confirm someone's guilt or innocence or presence at a scene or something like this, don't you have to have that in a bank somewhere? What if this individual never had his DNA taken?
Well, then, first of all, no, then the DNA sample will not lead you to the suspect.
Right.
So if it's in some sort of a bank, they can maybe have something pop up and say, okay, let's check this guy out. But if they do have a suspect and they capture him somewhere else, and then they take his DNA and compare it to the glove, they can place the suspect at or near the scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I see what you're saying. All right, well, we'll see. But I keep every day. I'll glance at the headlines or the news or watch just a few minutes of Fox News, and it's like the story never changed. We did this yesterday.
Yeah.
As you say, Fred, same experts, and they're not really breaking any new information about this particular story. And you just, again, I don't want to sound insensitive, but President Trump offered the FBI's assistance in this.
Mm-hmm.
Is President Trump going to offer the FBI's assistance in somebody who's not a celebrity, who's in this kind of situation?
Yeah.
Or is it just because? And when does the FBI get involved in cases like this? I thought it had to be something interstate. Or maybe that the FBI gets involved in a case if the local police ask them to.
And usually in the case of using a lab, the FBI lab, to do identification of some materials they may pick up. And they even had to turn to try to get some new news out of this the other day. There was some controversy about the local sheriff, and he sent some initial evidence to a crime lab in Florida instead of giving it to the FBI, and they tried to make a story out of that, saying the local sheriff didn't want the help of the FBI in this, and he denied that.
So this says local police departments often request FBI assistance when a case exceeds their resources, expertise, or jurisdiction.
Okay.
The FBI commonly responds to such requests, especially for complex investigations. Yes, the FBI will get involved if requested by local law enforcement.
Okay. Yeah. If they have the resources themselves. FBI is not unlimited.
Right.
They have to make judgment calls too every day on what cases we're going to be involved in.
Yeah, so probably like an ordinary robbery of a jewelry store, they probably would say no unless they cross state lines. But so a kidnapping, I think, is probably one of those that they will get involved in. But it does say here the FBI does not take over local investigations by force or authority. Instead, they collaborate as partners.
Yeah. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Next story, Fred.
Well, as promised, we want to learn from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Oh yeah.
About the problems of the world.
Ed and I, we voted on that this morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
We both. It was 2-0. It was unanimous.
Bring her in.
We want some Hillary Clinton news right here.
She is attending the Munich Security Conference, which attracts a lot of world leaders, is getting a lot of play. One of the big topics at this conference is the impact on illegal immigration. We've talked about it here in the United States, illegal immigration in general, migration in Europe, and the impact that it has had on those countries. So anyway, she was asked about this at the Munich Security Conference about whether she felt that there were mistakes made during the Biden years. Let's have a listen to what she had to say. Cut number 14.
I think we need to call it for what it is.
Secretary
There
Clinton.
is a legitimate reason to have a debate about things like migration. It went too far. It's been disruptive and destabilizing, and it needs to be fixed in a humane way with secure borders that don't torture and kill people, and how we're going to have a strong family structure, because it is at the base.
All right. So
why were they trying to interrupt her?
Yeah, there were reporters around, and there was a panel discussion, et cetera, et cetera. So Guy Benson, who is one of the experts at Fox, he had some interesting things to say about the point that Hillary was trying to make. Cut 15.
Yeah, you look at the Clinton era Democrats, and they sound like right-wing conservatives on the issue of illegal immigration. Even Barack Obama, when he was running for office and was president, he sounds like someone who'd be totally rejected by the left wing of the party today. I'm not sure, Dana, that these are true believers, right? That they actually think that we need to really toughen up the borders and throw in a few adjectives like humane. I think they recognize that they need to say these things and deliver less chaotic results for the electorate for the purpose of winning elections and gaining power.
I think he's bang on. I think they understand. We just talked about the poll again. The 80% Republicans, 70% Democrats want secure borders. So people like Hillary Clinton have to come out there and say, maybe we made some mistakes when Biden was in power with this whole flood of illegal immigrants that came into this country. However, we have to do it in a humane, nice way.
What is she saying about where are we? Where are ICE agents or border security? Where are they torturing people? Because we need to know about that.
That's the left's scenario. Yes. Remember Tim Walz talking about the ICE committing atrocities. This is standard overheated language on the part of the left. I will say this: I don't disagree with what Fred's saying about the Democratic Party's trying to ramp down the I guess that's probably not ramping down, tamp down the rhetoric coming from the left. I would also say some of these people, like Hillary Clinton, like Bill Maher, like John Fetterman, these are more classical liberals who I think are getting a little nervous at the kind of firebomb left that wants to overthrow the country and also take over the Democratic Party so that traditional liberalism no longer exists. And I think that's why they have to use some of that leftist language. They probably believe it too, but I think Hillary Clinton and it's kind of like the Republican establishment. You have Democratic Party establishment as well, traditional liberals who want the game to continue. They want the country to exist and continue because it's their bread and butter. I mean, they get to stay in power. They all get rich. And I'm talking about a lot of the Republican establishment as well. They don't want revolution because they'll be out. Like Guy Benson said, and you said too, I think during one of our breaks or whatever, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, at least from what he said when he was in office, these people could not get elected in today's Democratic Party. They're considered right-wing. And they know it, and I'm sorry for them in a sense. They let the dog in, and it brought the fleas with it. And the Democratic Party is lost to these leftists.
That would be a great country song right there. That line you just had.
I'm not even sure I can. What I say?
Said,
he let the dog in and brought
the dog in and brought the fleas with it.
There you go. You guys,
my baby ain't coming back. I think you add that in there, you got a hit. But I think you're right. That as odd as it sounds to say, the Clintons and the President Obama, they would be considered too conservative to be the leaders of the Democrat Party in today's world. They just would be.
I'm wondering if Hillary Clinton wasn't also that this wasn't a broad-based kind of criticism because she's in Europe And Europe's threatened with, at least, the Europeans that have always lived, like the French in France or the Germans in Germany, they're looking at unfettered immigration. Now, that's legal, but they're also seeing the threat to what Europe will be in 25 or 50 years, if that long.
And they're taking steps. Several European countries now are saying if an immigrant from some country comes in through a country like Egypt, we're going to send them back to Egypt.
Right.
Because they're getting so much blowback from their own people.
Oh, yeah.
Crime increase and what's happening, people are nervous about the Islamic population growing in many European communities. But, you guys were talking about the old guard of the Democratic Party and the new guard. It's exciting about the new guard coming in for the Democrats. In fact, one of their stars, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is at this Munich conference. Wow.
What is she doing there?
She's answering very tough questions. In fact, there was a question the other day to her as she was sitting there surrounded by her fans. She was asked about, what if China invades Taiwan? Should the United States come to the rescue? So you're going to hear the question from the reporter. This is Cut 11, and then the very deep response from AOC.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is a, this is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States.
Deep.
That's
very
embarrassing. Is that real?
Yes.
Sound like to me she's like trying to text while she's talking. Does that not sound like that?
Yeah, because
I've done that myself. That was AOC. The what's her full name?
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
She's a congresswoman duly elected from the city of New York.
Well, but what is she doing there? She's not an expert. Obviously, she's not an expert.
She's trying to beef up her
resume,
her international credentials, so that if she runs.
Well, that didn't help.
My advice to her would say back off on the helium. You know what I'm saying?
That helium diet. That's bad.
Well, the helium that makes her voice sound like should be reading to third graders somewhere.
You compare.
Okay, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't make fun of somebody's physical appearance.
She can't help her voice.
She can't help it, but it doesn't translate well, her high-pitched, childish-sounding voice to authority on international affairs.
It does enter into things. Kamala Harris's voice and her laugh
was annoying.
And you may say, well, voters.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter, but it kind of does. In the television age, in the video age, it does matter. Listen, she is a lightweight, an intellectual lightweight. She has proven, I'm talking about AOC, she's proven that over and over again. And now listen, you don't have to be a genius necessarily to run for office. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to be up at the top of the heap, you've got to be able to answer a basic question like she was asked. You know what? If I was asked, I'd say no. I don't want troops in Taiwan.
Answer yes or no, but don't do what she did.
Yeah.
Stumble around there. How long did she go on there? That 45 seconds of nonsense.
That's going to be played over and over again if she runs for Senate or governor or tries to run for president.
Yeah. I'm gonna put the stopwatch on that, Brent. Pull that back up.
Good, because I want to.
That
listen
was
to,
you got to admit,
to this again.
The greatest.
All right, so you're going to record it.
I'm gonna do the stopwatch. This is. You got to put that in her greatest hits collection.
Oh yeah,
don't you?
This is like word salad Kamala.
Okay, go ahead, Brent.
Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
No. Go.
I think that this is such a, I think that.
My goodness.
This is a.
This is painful.
Yeah.
This is, of course, a very longstanding policy of the United States.
Yeah, what's
that
the
was
policy?
20 seconds. Just 20 seconds of gold right there.
What's the
Am I right?
policy, the long-standing policy that it's been standing for so long? You should know it.
You know what I think the
20
problem
seconds.
was
What?
for AOC? In her mind, she was saying, "Where is Taiwan?"
Fred. Fred. All right, we've abused poor AOC enough here. We need to move on.
Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo listened to what we just listened to.
Okay.
And this was his response, cut 12.
Yikes, Charlie. You know, it sounded very much like what President Trump said about President Biden in the debate. He was asked what President Biden meant. He said, "I don't even think he knows what he meant." Boy, to go to Munich and to not have thought 1 second about Taiwan or the risk from China evidences a unseriousness and ignorance that is deeply troubling, to be very kind, Charlie.
But the serious side of this is a huge issue inside the Democratic Party. She's a star. Gavin Newsom is there at this conference as well. AOC is there. This is the wing of the party that more and more people are saying. Barack Obama was interviewed the other day on a podcast, and he talked about we need to bring new young people into the party. This is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Well, you know, if you take the issue of Taiwan and versus communist China, right? That's a very tense situation over there. I'm not sure that's a partisan issue, because I'm not sure where Republicans would fall down on that. Now, old school Republicans, by old school I mean probably 50 or 60 years old up, they understand the history of communism and of China and how valuable our relationship with Taiwan has been. Taiwan is an island that sits off the coast of communist China, but is a free, independent island. But communist China claims historical rights to the island. So that's the little 20-second backdrop to this. But I'm not so sure if China invaded Taiwan, do you want American troops to go over there and fight the Chinese, Ed?
Well, there are no plans. I'm just going to tell you, I don't think there are any plans to land U.S. troops in Taiwan to defend it. It would be defended with air power that is located in Japan.
But it'd be a hot war.
No, it'd be a hot war, and we could lose aircraft carriers. It would be bad. But submarines, the U.S. would probably just saying how horrible this could get. I think it's like 70% of China's oil is imported. It comes from the Middle East through what's called the Malacca Strait. I think that's in Indonesia. That's it. The U.S. could have a couple of submarines there and literally starve China of its oil, in which case China might threaten to use nukes. I mean, it could really get nasty. But I don't think the U.S. has plans to put U.S. troops in Taiwan, because it would be difficult probably to get them there. Taiwan's been planning. Listen, the Chinese on Taiwan, they fled there when Chiang Kai-shek lost the Chinese Civil War to Mao Zedong and the communists. The nationalists fled to Taiwan. They're Chinese in Taiwan. That is where was called Formosa. They fled and built Taiwan basically from scratch. And the communists have always said, that island belongs to us. Those are Chinese people. We're going to reunify it by force if necessary. And the U.S., I think, has very serious plans to defend Taiwan if China attacks.
Yeah. Well, it's a very volatile, ongoing volatile situation. I mean, if China tried to invade or take over Taiwan, it would cause international chaos. In terms of the financial markets, in terms of much more than the Russian-Ukraine war.
Absolutely right.
And also the trade between the U.S. and China could be affected. China nor the U.S. wants that. So I think that's one of the big reasons China's not invaded Taiwan, is they know the financial impact that could have on their country would be potentially, disabling.
Yeah.
For the even though they might gain Taiwan, they would lose in the big picture.
Yeah.
That's my analysis. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. What do we got about a minute left here.
Do we want to say Marco Rubio was at the Munich Security Conference as well?
Save that.
Let's save that for after the news, because unlike some of the things we just heard, Marco Rubio runs very deeply.
That is a smart man.
He is. He's brilliant.
Hey, did you see where so there was a foursome golf group down in Florida over the weekend? It was President Trump, Urban Meyer, the former college Ohio State and Florida football coach, the legendary Nick Saban, college football coach, and Governor Ron DeSantis.
Really? Were they playing in Mar-a-Lago?
Probably. I didn't get invited. Really disappointing. But anyway, what does that say? Because DeSantis only has a year left in Tallahassee as governor. Might he be coming to work for President Trump in some capacity? That's what people are asking.
Would he take a Supreme Court nomination, you think?
We can talk about that when we get back from the break. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
Do you know the largest unpaid and untrained workforce in America? It's not in a factory or an office. It's the 65 million family caregivers. And if that is you, I understand the journey you're on.
Peter Rosenberger has been a caregiver for 4 decades. He's the host for Hope for the Caregiver, Saturday mornings at 7 Central on AFR.
This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. A Democratic state official from Massachusetts uncovering millions in alleged fraud. Lydia Hu has more.
This is the state auditor from Massachusetts, Diana DiZioglio, and she says she wants to investigate the origins of alleged $12 million in fraud, and this is coming from the public assistance programs. She's a Democrat, and she says she notified members of the legislature there in Massachusetts that she wanted to conduct a performance audit. She wanted access to state contracts and receipts that have been paid, but the lawmakers are refusing to provide those documents, so it's forcing her to sue and enforce a new public law. Part of that lawsuit means she's going after members of her own Democratic Party.
The Trump administration is touting its border security policies a success after ICE operations in major cities such as Minneapolis, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Alabama Senator Katie Britt weighs in.
There's no one better on the border than President Trump. There's no one better on interior enforcement than President Trump. And there's no one better at making a deal than President Trump. And so when we look at our role, it's supporting that and elevating that. But what our Democratic colleagues have to realize is that we're not going to walk away from enforcing the law.
The FDA planning to establish an official definition for processed foods, which will require a safety review when new chemicals are added to foods. FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary says they're moving at record speed to address the issue and says they plan to use their new food pyramid to push for real food.
It's not a zero-sum game. The types of food matter. Real food is not only better for your health, it's not only health care reform because it's addressing the root problem driving all our chronic diseases. It's also more affordable than the ultra-processed foods and the foods you buy out. We spend more on food on school lunches than any other country, and we have the worst results. We announced this week at the FDA we're going to do a request for information on a new series of these chemicals that are found in plastics and glue, and they also appear in our food supply. We're going to take a hard look at them.
Opening statements are underway today in Georgia for the father of a school shooting suspect who's been charged with buying the teenager the gun he used in the attack.
A jury is expected to hear opening statements today at the courthouse in Barrow County, Georgia, outside Athens, in the trial of Colin Gray. He's the father of a teenage suspected shooter who in September of 2024 is accused of killing 4 and injuring others at Appalachia High School. The father is to be tried on 29 charges, including second-degree murder. on account of purchasing the firearm used in the attack for his son, allegedly knowing his son could pose a threat. The jury hearing the case was selected from neighboring Hall County, Georgia, as Barrow County's small population was considered to have been too affected by the shooting. Eben Brown, Fox News.
A terrorism expert and Islamic critic says there is no doubt about the fact that it is the goal of radical Islamists to eliminate and destroy Western civilization from within.
During a recent hearing of the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution and Limited Government, Chairman Chip Roy of Texas wanted to expose the growing threat of Sharia law in the United States. He posed this question to Robert Spencer, the director of Jihad Watch, about the threat of radical Islam.
Safe to say that the goal of those organizations and the Muslim Brotherhood is for the Western Hemisphere, for the Western civilization, the United States, and Texas as ground zero to become Islamic.
Spencer responded by pointing out that Sharia law is incompatible with the U.S. Constitution.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. That's very clear from the explanatory memorandum of the Muslim Brotherhood, saying that the goal is that Allah's religion is victorious over other religions, and they're working toward eliminating and destroying Western civilization from within. And all the non-Muslim apologists for Sharia that we see are indications of how successful that effort has been.
I'm Chad, groaning.
Tesla moves from its full self-driving purchase option to a subscription service.
Tesla's full self-driving option used to cost $8,000 to purchase. It's now $99 per month for a subscription fee, which lowers the barrier to be able to get FSD through the fee that CEO Elon Musk says could rise as FSD's capabilities improve, when at some point he expects that drivers might be able to sleep or use their phones for the whole ride.
For American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh.
The American Family Association's mission is to inform, equip, and activate individuals to strengthen the moral foundations of our culture. Our goal is to be a leading organization in biblical worldview training for cultural transformation. We stand on the biblical truth that all human beings, including the unborn, are created in the image of God and are endowed by Him with the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Thank you for standing with the American Family Association. Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, president of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to Today's Issues. We do podcast this show, so if you can't listen live, you can go to our AFR website. Just go to afr.net, click on the podcast, and you can listen to the show anytime you want to by doing that. And we have approximately, usually about 150,000, anywhere from 130 to 160, 70,000 podcast downloads a month of this show.
Wow.
So evidently, Ed, you are a star, man.
It's a team effort.
Huh?
It's a team
I
effort.
appreciate your humility. Okay, so Fred's here. Fred Jackson, Ed Battagliano, Tim Wildmon, and now Chris Woodward. Good morning, brother Chris.
Good morning.
You got a bunch of stuff there in front of you. You're going to bring the stories, huh?
Well, I have several things to go over should we need it. Yes.
Okay, so first thing we want to talk about is Secretary of State Marco Rubio's speech.
Yes.
In Germany, right? Where did he speak, and who did he speak to?
He was speaking in Munich to various European leaders and American leaders as well, because Rubio was there to represent the Trump administration, and he wasn't the only one that went over there. And he talked
What did he say about Greenland first? I want to know that. Are we still going after Greenland?
That's kind of gone away.
Why?
Well, you don't hear as much about it anyway.
Trump said we're taking it one way or another.
He did. He also said help is on the way in Iran, and that's still the big question
mark. So he says things he doesn't mean?
I think he sometimes says things, and it takes a while before we find out what the answer to your question is.
Okay, so we still may be taking Greenland. He's just not talking about it anymore.
That's a good way to put it. Now, somebody.
Hey, what do you think? One other thing, Chris.
Okay.
What do you think about
Greenland?
Well, President Trump, when he talks, sometimes he says things like help is on the way, talking to Iran.
Yeah.
And and to the people that were out in the streets, and then he says, "We're taking Greenland, whether they like it or not."
Right.
Do you think he's just bluffing, or do you think he's gonna do those things?
I just think it's New York street. It's just, who are you looking at? What are you looking at? I think that's his personality.
So you don't ever know whether
he shoots from the hip.
I got you.
And that, since he is not a polished politician, that you commented without commenting.
I didn't. Did I?
Yeah. And so I think that does create in political opponents an unknown.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know if he's being serious. Greenland doesn't. I would not support taking Greenland by force, by military action. I would be opposed to that. I don't think he has the constitutional right to do it. But Greenland doesn't know if he's going to do it.
It could be that they're negotiating behind the scenes, and part of the tactic is to be silent on the topic. It could
be. I just know if this were a Democrat doing this kind of stuff, we would be all over it in a critical way.
You'd have an AOC clip that makes sense,
right?
I disagreed with taking Greenland by force.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've said that on the show.
I just think with President Trump's international foreign policy, it's like with every president, it's the good and the bad and the ugly, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's done some big things.
Absolutely.
Number one was bombing the Iran nuclear facilities.
Right. He did big things in his first administration.
They took some guts. I'm going to tell you that. It was the right thing to do, absolutely. But, I mean, then to the other side, the bad, just throwing around, we're going to take Greenland for ourselves no matter what. He backed off that. I think sometimes he backs off after he tests the winds.
Yeah.
He says something, and maybe this is how you do deals in New York, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
So you just say things out loud. We're going to take Greenland, whether they like it or not. When you don't really mean that. You know what I'm saying? You're just testing the waters to see how much resistance is there to us taking the Greenland? Because if there isn't, we'll just go ahead and take it.
I think that is the way things are done not that I have firsthand knowledge.
New York real estate business.
I have watched movies, and that's the way especially mafia movies. That's the way they operate. We'll just sue and take your business, and if that doesn't work, don't have somebody else start your car in the morning.
Okay. Or swim with the fishes.
That's right.
I'm just going to give you one example. I know we don't like to hear this necessarily as conservatives, but I remember when President Obama didn't support the uprising in Iran. And people and Republicans and conservatives were like going,
Arab Spring.
You're just leaving them you could be supporting them and helping them, and you're not doing anything to help this. This is a key moment. You remember that?
Yeah. I was not one of those.
Okay.
Because it's limited. I mean, you either go to war against Iran in support of that uprising, or now you can. The CIA does stuff all the time behind the scenes. That's an option where behind the scenes nobody knows. You give them aid, kind of like the left, and who knows, Soros groups are probably supporting protesters in our cities. That kind of stuff can be done behind the scenes. But I would never have agreed with President Obama or President Trump using the military to overthrow Iran.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think it's not good, but a lot of our politics in this country has been reduced not to what's best for what's right or wrong or what's best for our country or not. It's been reduced to what team are you on?
Yeah, that's true.
So whatever team are you on, that's who's right. You know what I'm saying?
And I think
in that particular moment, I just think it creates a lot of cynicism and inconsistency.
Yeah, politics creates strange bedfellows or something like that. But part of the reason for that, what you're saying, I do think that's true, is that both sides of the political spectrum view the other side as an existential threat to the country.
Yeah.
So the left considers conservatives Nazis and fascists, and the right considers the left to be communists. And I would say we're closer to the truth than the left is.
Yeah, I agree. What's your story about Marco Rubio?
Yeah, this is about Marco Rubio, somebody that represents the Trump administration abroad, meaning internationally. And one of the things that Rubio is making the news for is a speech where he's trying to say that the U.S. and Europe, we have things in common. We have things in common beyond just our ethnic heritage and stuff like that. We also share what Rubio called our Christian faith. Clip 16.
For the United States and Europe, we belong together. America was founded 250 years ago, but the roots began here on this continent long before. The men who settled and built the nation of my birth arrived on our shores carrying the memories and the traditions and the Christian faith of their ancestors as a sacred inheritance, an unbreakable link between the old world and the new. We are part of one civilization, Western civilization. We are bound to one another by the deepest bonds that nations could share, forged by centuries of shared history, Christian faith, culture, heritage, language, ancestry, and the sacrifices our forefathers made together for the common civilization to which we have fallen heir.
I like
what a great
Rubio.
speech, or at least that segment of it there.
Yeah.
You like Marco
I like
Rubio?
Marco Rubio.
Me too.
I think he's brilliant when it comes to foreign policy, international relations, and he's conservative on the domestic side of things. He appears to be a very sincere and faithful Christian, and so I like the guy.
I think there was a deeper message there, and because the migration story keeps coming up over and over again, I think the point that the Secretary was trying to make in his speech is that Christian values are what has made Europe, and to the extension into the United States, it is what has made these countries successful, bringing those Christian values there. And I think without saying it, but there's a message there, he is saying what migration is doing is threatening for Europe in particular, and to a certain extent the United States. People with different values, very different values, are coming in. You know, I was trying to figure out this morning, someone said immigration without assimilation is invasion. And I did a little, Bobby Jindal, former Louisiana governor, said that. And that's very profound. People who come to a country, if they don't adopt the values of that country but try to impose their values, they are trying to change what has made these countries great. Marco Rubio says it's Christian values that have made these countries great. And we are wrestling with that in this country right now, too, at several very hot points.
Yeah. It could be that his comments there that we just heard about our Christian faith, that might explain why a lot of Americans had no idea that this speech even took place or that Rubio had said it, because you guys may have mentioned this in the last hour, but our friends at MRC/Newsbusters, they have an analysis out that found virtually none of the Sunday talk shows talked about Rubio's speech. Matter of fact, the sole mention of Rubio's speech was on CBS's Face the Nation, where the substitute host referenced the speech in passing before throwing to an interview with Senator Tom Tillis. They aired 14 seconds of Rubio at the podium.
I think with Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, that the future of the Republican Party at the national level is in pretty good hands.
Would you include Ron DeSantis?
I would. I would include Governor Ron DeSantis. If you look at his record, he is a conservative rock star. Okay, the things he's been able to do in Florida in his two administrations, but he is, I think he has one more year. I'm not sure. Maybe this is. I'm not sure. One more year, I think, of in the governor's mansion in Tallahassee, and then he'll be a free bird, so to speak. And that may have been why he was golfing with President Trump over the weekend to see maybe where he could plug in the Trump administration, because I think Governor DeSantis, he's too young just to sit around.
Ron DeSantis' current term as Florida governor ends on January 5th, 2027.
Okay, well, there you go.
So the election here in November will determine the new governor.
Okay, well, there'll probably be an opening in the Trump administration for a cabinet-level position somewhere that, Governor DeSantis would fit into. I think he would be a great Justice Department. Who's the Justice Department head right now? Excuse me.
Pam Bondi?
You talking about
Pam Bondi? She's the Attorney General.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pam Bondi. She's a Floridian too. If she wanted to leave and he wanted to come in, DeSantis, I think he would be an excellent Attorney General. The only part that I was going to say, President Trump, though, he keeps people. Despite his volatile personality, he seems to, am I right? He seems to keep people around in key levels of his administration. I was going to say the personality of DeSantis is pretty straight-laced.
Yeah.
In fact, President Trump said he needed a personality
transplant.
You remember that?
Yeah.
He has no personality.
Well, and that is kind of true. I'm a big fan of Ron DeSantis, but like you said, he's very straight-laced. Listen, I'm not saying this in a partisan way. I thought Al Gore had the same issue. Mm-hmm. You remember people said he was kind of robotic. He was kind of a nuts and bolts kind of person, and you got to loosen up a little bit. Marco Rubio's a little bit like that, but Marco Rubio does kid around a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Who knows?
I think Donald Trump has set the bar pretty high as far as being an entertaining personality.
Yeah.
At a presidential type level. So anybody compared to him
is going to look
going to look like a librarian. Am I right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
But I do think that DeSantis, his qualifications and his actions that he's taken as governor, you could see him in the Trump administration after he gets through in Tallahassee.
Now, I asked you this during the break. Do you think Ron DeSantis would be interested in a position on the U.S. Supreme Court should a vacancy arise?
Well, Ted Cruz was asked about this
a
couple weeks ago because President Trump had floated the idea of maybe Ted Cruz would be a good Supreme Court justice. I would be standing up and applauding that as a conservative, but Ted Cruz sort of said, "No, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I'm a political animal," I think is what he called himself. So I want to be in the daily mix. I don't want to be, sitting behind the Supreme Court desk
in a black robe.
Yeah, I don't think that. I do think personality matters a lot on a Supreme Court justice. It is, it's pretty mundane, and now not all listen to the cases and deciding them, but I'm talking about being out there in the mix on politics, trying to make a difference instead of judging the constitutionality of a law. I think Ron DeSantis is more of an action guy, a doer.
That's probably true.
But I think you're probably going to end up, if it was right now, I think Vance would be the presidential nominee easily on the Republican side, and probably Marco Rubio would be his VP. Now, I don't know if Marco Rubio wants to be the guy who attends funerals.
Right.
Because the VP, I don't know if he wants to do that for 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he would take that. But Marco Rubio and J.D. Vance, they're best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Marco Rubio has even said, if J.D. runs, I'm not going to run against him.
That's what Marco Rubio said?
Yeah, he did say that, didn't he, Fred?
I believe so, yeah.
Marco Rubio's only 54 years old, okay?
He looks 36.
Yeah, he does. So the question would be if he would be willing to be J.D. Vance's vice president and wait, course, that election's 2028. So you add another 3 years, we'll say he's 57, then 8 years of J.D. Vance. He's 65.
Well, I like the way you talk, man.
As president.
But I don't know if that's going to be reality. But you're saying best case scenario.
Best case scenario
for the GOP.
He would be 65.
Rubio?
Rubio, that's doable.
Yeah, it's possible.
Well, Trump's 97. so yeah, it's doable.
Trump is the oldest person ever elected president.
Well, Marco Rubio may say, I just like being in the Senate.
Right.
He's run for president. He had kind of the same problem.
He did.
Hey, if
in
he's
terms of
65,
personality.
he's going to be trying to decide whether to take Social Security or not. Probably. That's going to be his first choice.
Better do it now before it runs out of money in 2032.
All right, now wait a second. Do members of Congress they don't get Social Security? Do they? They have their own.
They get their own pension.
They get their own
off the top
pension.
of my head.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't have to rely on Social Security.
Probably why they won't fix it.
That's exactly right.
All right.
I say that as somebody that gets robbed every 2 weeks.
I do think, with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, I think that's a pretty good team there as far as leadership post-Trump.
Well, all the three we've been talking about, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio,
Ron
and
DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis, they are intelligent, knowledgeable conservatives on constitutionalism,
all of them are
conservative principles, and they are excellent communicators.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so that's a pretty good trifecta of conservatives leading the party.
Yeah.
If your opposition is AOC, and Gavin Newsom's no lightweight. I think he's kind of destroyed California, but
real cream.
Yeah, little dabble, do you?
I heard somebody joke one time that if Newsom runs, somebody on the other side of the aisle should have a bumper sticker that says, "Gavin Newsom will do to America what he's done to California."
Yeah,
there's a lot of Democrats that would be okay with that,
and yet he'd be reelected tomorrow.
Yeah,
the election.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
All right, next story, Chris.
Well, I have some new findings from Gallup. One of the things that Gallup looks at is what kind of professions do you Americans trust more than others?
Okay.
And in the latest look at this, Gallup found that Americans rank clergy at a record low in things like honesty and ethics.
Why?
It does not say, but I have a possible answer for you there.
Okay.
Just 27% of the American public now rank clergy as high or very high on the scale. 6 other professions reached record lows in their honesty and ethical standards. These are pharmacists, high school teachers, police officers, business executives, stockbrokers, and telemarketers. 5% of Americans trust telemarketers in terms of honesty.
Journalists weren't even on the scale.
Well, yeah, we all know the answer to that. Why bother polling?
5%. That's pretty high for telemarketers.
Yeah. I may have stumbled across another story.
As far as their approval rating,
it doesn't
Chris, just calm down for a second, because this is demanding some response here.
Give it
because I'm saying. There are probably actually members of the clergy now who are saying, well, at least we're not as bad as telemarketers.
Yeah, that's true. Now,
visit our church.
Yeah, it could be that one reason why some Americans out there don't trust clergy or hold them as high up as they used to is because from time to time, pastors and priests do make the news for bad things the government found them guilty of. That could be one of the reasons why.
What profession ranks high? Well, as far as the American people's admiration, Chris, did they say? Or is it just only the bad news?
Well, 50% of Americans still hold teachers in high regard.
Okay. Even algebra?
Yeah, well, that's a puzzle.
I don't hold
To give you an idea of how far things have gone with clergy, in 2013, 47% of Americans ranked clergy as high or very high on the honesty and ethical standard scale. So it's down 20% in a decade.
Disappointing.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Thank you for the bad news without any real apparent explanation of how we could change it. But
Well, we'll see.
Well, if you're a pastor or a priest and you're listening to the show,
set an example.
Set an example and make integrity great again.
I think maybe part of the explanation. Let me do your job for you, Chris. Part of the explanation might be social media does serve to broadcast individuals' failures.
Yes.
and it's broadcast everywhere,
right?
And that can degrade the opinion of people on a whole category of individuals. Also, this might have something to do with the turn of some, especially young people, against religion in general. But I'm just speculating because Chris gave us no other option.
All right, we're about out of time. We got 30 seconds to go here.
Chris, I'm just picking on you.
No.
You got a happy story?
I do. Tim Allen, beloved actor, done a lot of TV shows and films. He has completed a 13-month Bible journey and says he will do it again. He recently posted on social media that he began reading word for word scripture, and he's planning on doing it again. He obviously has been a person that's been looking for answers in terms of how we got here, what's the meaning for life.
Yeah.
And so I think we as the body of Christ should pray for Tim Allen, because about 30 years ago he was writing books of things we would not talk about on this show. The book was called I'm Not Really Here, and it got into a lot of like hippy-dippy stuff. So he's clearly looking for answers from God.
I think we should pray for him so that he might become a Christian, and then after he dies, it's to infinity and beyond.
There you go. I see what you did there.
I think he is a Christian.
Is he?
Yeah, to infinity and beyond. He was the voice behind the Toy Story character. Buzz Lightyear. All right, we're out of time. Fred, thank you.
All righty.
Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Ed, so much appreciate your contribution.
I detect sarcasm.
Our thanks to, let's see, who else? Brent Creeley, our producer, and Cole Green, our videographer. And have a great Monday afternoon, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.